Okay. I think we might be live. Okay. It's always a little hard to tell with Zoom when I'm streaming through. So, hello. Hi, Denise. Let me get this refreshed. Let me make sure I'm coming through. Good. I got people coming in. I can see the comments. Fabulous. Welcome everyone. Let me know you can hear me because I want to make sure I'm coming through okay. I'm also going to go to the event really quick and just post the link to the video because I don't know if it's linking to the actual thing. There, post that. I'm going to get started here in just a second. And yeah, we'll get rolling. Okay, let me pull this up. There's always a little bit of like prep to get done. Pull this up. Oh, now you can hear me again. Got it. See, this is why. Thank you for the comments. All right, let me start over. Thank you for bearing with me on the setup. Had my mic muted for a second there. Not sure how that happened, but we're back. Okay. So jumping into the practice vision, I'm not going to keep you guys too long. I know you're busy today and I want you to get working on this worksheet. But I wanted to explain, why is a vision important? Why do we bother at all doing this? For some people, I think we skip over this because it is, it feels maybe it's fluffy, or it feels like really loose and ambiguous, and we're not really sure how to define it more clearly. So I'm going to give you guys some context for this worksheet and for how to define our vision and why it matters. First of all, why we do this is it helps inform how we structure our business, how we schedule our time, and how we prioritize. And this is going to be different for everyone. We cannot build the same business as our neighbor or as our friend. Our life is different. Our circumstances and our needs are different. And so we're going to need to build a business that is consistent, aligned, and congruent with our life, our needs, our circumstances. And that's really a big piece of this visioning aspect of your practice. It's not this like grand vision necessarily, but we also get into the details of our why for our business, our why for where we do this. And that will inform our how and our what when it comes to our business decisions, both personally and professionally. You are not just a therapist, you are a business owner. If you are in private practice, you are a business owner, and those things are inextricable. Creating your aligned vision means that you're able to show up both for your first client and your last client with the same presence and energy. Having that clear vision and an aligned practice also means better client care. When we are not acting in alignment or acting in congruence, we aren't going to give our clients the same level of care. And there's actually research that has shown that when you take care of yourself, when you're doing better, your clinical work goes better, your clients have better outcomes. And how we do that from a foundational standpoint, from our business standpoint, is to create this practice vision. Now, there are a lot of messages that we have been conditioned to believe as therapists, things like you're not in it for the money, or you have to take insurance, or you have to take clients in evenings and weekends. And I think a lot of these messages really contribute to burnout. They contribute to keeping us overworked, underpaid. And the thing is that when, we think about, oh, I want to be accessible, I want to be able to serve people, I'm afraid I'm not going to get clients. But when we when we try to do too much for too many people, we end up burning out. And if we're burned out, we're not accessible to anybody. And so it actually works against accessibility for us to be burnt out, to be overworked, and to be out of alignment. So many of us, we feel called to serve, and we often serve at our own expense. And whether that's because you've been conditioned as a woman to sacrifice yourself, or as a therapist to sacrifice yourself, we sacrifice our needs, and that has been normalized or even celebrated as like a badge of honor. And I think that needs to change, very, very much needs to change. We need to look at how can we take care of ourselves, and how can we live in congruence and alignment first, and then how can we serve from that place. So as you guys start thinking about your vision and your why, I want you to think about values. Defining your values that drive your decisions gives you a place to really understand like the how and the what. And by values, I don't mean like generic words like honesty and integrity. I mean like actionable statements. Things like, I give my first client the same level of service as my last client. I have energy and bandwidth for myself and my family at the end of the day. I am able to save for retirement. I finish my notes every week during business hours. I practice what I teach, and I model boundaries for clients by having boundaries in my business. These are the kinds of values that I want you to be thinking about as you think about, creating your practice vision. And then like beyond that, why does it matter? Why does it matter that I finish my notes every week during business hours? Why does it matter that I charge for cancellations, outside of the defined period or no shows? Why does it matter that I have something left for myself and my family at the end of the day? If we can connect the why does it matter to the value that we're stating, then we know what we need to do, and we feel more connected to the decisions that we make in our business. So when you come up against that moment where you're like, "Ooh, should I charge for this late cancellation?" You have something to come back to, where you're coming back to, why am I making that decision? What is the grounding force and the value system under that decision? And that can help you be more confident in the decisions you make in your practice. So that's kind of the overarching reason why we work on our values, why we define them, why we want to make sure that we are connected to them, and why we need to come back to them periodically. I think a lot of us, we come into this and we say, "Oh, what's your why? Why did you become a therapist?" So kind of getting into this worksheet, that first question of like, why did you become a therapist? And, I think especially if we're in the field a little while, we can get away from, why did I make that decision? Why did I come into this field? What drove me to this? What made me want this? And then also you can even expand on that, like, why private practice? Why is private practice important? Why did you decide to take that leap? Why do you want it? And really get connected to why you did this in the first place. And whether you're just starting out or you're years into it, I think it's really important to come back to this periodically and get connected again to your why. Make sure that you're staying grounded in that, because when you stay grounded in that why, that informs your values and your decision makings in your business. And that gives you confidence to make decisions from a place of like being grounded and knowing what that decision serves in your why. So really define like, why did I become a therapist? Why am I doing this? And I want it to be more specific, like for my kids, right? I can say, what's my why? And I can always say like, well, I do this for my kids, but it's so much bigger than this, right? It's so much deeper than that. There's something in you that you're doing this for. There's something that drove you even before you had your children. There's something that drives you even outside of that. And so I want you to get really specific about, why did you become a therapist and why private practice? Now that next piece, there's another question, and I love this question. I posted it in the group earlier today, and I always love the responses to this question when I bring it up, is, I am a better therapist, parent, partner, self, whatever identity you are, when what? If you want to drop some in the comments, please do. I always love hearing these. But what I find more often is that almost every single answer, I am a better blank when, has to do with time and space for yourself or some sort of self-care. It's something where you are embodying yourself, you are in yourself, you are in alignment. It is self-care oriented. And yet therapists are terrible at taking care of themselves because we are sacrificing ourselves for everyone else's well-being, right? But that for me just like screams incongruence. And I'm just to be clear, I'm guilty of this too. So I'm speaking from that place of like, I know this, right? I get this. We do tend to sacrifice ourselves. And yet when we're asked, I am a better, fill in the blank when, it's almost always self-care related. And so there's this dissonance or this disconnect between what we know to be true, that we are better clinicians, we are better partners, we are better parents, we're better people ourselves within ourselves when we take good care of ourselves. But when we create our business and when we look at our business vision and when we really outline how we're going to do our business, we kind of like put that to the side, or it's like, when I have time, I will. But we all know that like, if I do it when I have time, it doesn't happen. And so, for those of you, we're going to talk about this in the schedule piece about this building an in piece, but like, look at what you write down when you say, I am a better therapist, parent, partner, and self. Look at those things and ask yourself, like, where do these exist in my life? Are they there? Have I put them in? We'll talk more about that in the next piece of the challenge when we come to schedule. That's actually tomorrow. So I'm not going to dig too far into that now, but I want to set the stage of like, really get connected with what that is, because that's part of your why and that's part of your vision. That's going to incorporate into your vision. So thinking about those things, what I'm going to ask you to do is, what do you want for your life and your practice? And this is where you get to start really creating that vision. What do I want for my life and my practice? This is where you can define those value statements of, what do I want for my life and my practice? I want to be able to take 1 hour break after my last client before I go pick up my kids. And I'm going to not do anything work related or house related. It's just for me. I want to go to the gym every morning after I drop my kids off from school. I'm just using my own examples. I want to have all of my notes done at the end of my workday on Thursday so that they are finished for the week and I don't have to think about them on the weekend. I want to feel just as energized for my first client as I do for my last client. So this is where you really start crafting those statements about what you want for your life and what you want for your practice, that are going to be the values driven statements that are going to drive the vision and the what's and the whys for the next pieces of the challenge and for your practice overall. Again, I think these are important to come back to periodically. Your life is going to change, your circumstances are going to change. How this looked before I had kids was very different than it does now that I have 4-year-olds. And so, periodically, whether it's once a year or once a quarter or whatever it is, come back to these, revisit them. Are they still in alignment? Are they still working for you? Do any of them need to change? And if they need to change, is that going to change any of the decisions that you're making in your practice, any of the guidelines, the policies, the boundaries, any of that? What needs to change? Now, the last piece is where I really I love to, sit with this piece for a minute, where you really close your eyes and you imagine, if this was my reality, if the things I wrote down were real, if I was able to make them happen, which you can, I believe you can, how do I feel? How would I feel? Like, live that reality for a day and imagine, how would you feel emotionally, physically, spiritually? How would you be able to come to your family? How would you be able to take care of yourself if the things you wrote down about how you want your life and your practice to go, what if those could be real? I say that because I really do genuinely believe, I come from this place where I genuinely believe that it is possible for you to create a practice that is aligned, congruent, sustainable for you, that looks different for everybody. But I have seen people do it. I have been able to do it. And I do believe it's absolutely possible. It can take time. It can take work. It does take work, but I know that you can get there. And I genuinely believe that. So if you guys have any questions about the worksheets or about anything that we talked about today, let me know, pop it in the comments, come into the group. I would love if you would come into the group after you finish your worksheet. Let me know what came of it. What did you realize? Was there anything that was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, or wow, that really reinforced this thing that I've been thinking about? Come in and share in the group. I would love to hear about it. But that is our life for today. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.